Imagine you're on top of the world, with immense wealth, influence, and a seemingly unstoppable career. But what happens when the empire you built starts crumbling, and the pressure becomes unbearable? Harry Gordon, a successful billionaire businessman from Australia, found himself in this situation and made a desperate choice to fake his own death. Today, we're going to dive deep into his story, from how he orchestrated the grand deception to how it all came crashing down in one of the most bizarre twists of fate. The rise of Harry Gordon. Harry Gordon wasn't just an average businessman, he was a multi-millionaire who had established a thriving career in finance. By the 1980s, his empire was at its peak, but as with many who achieve great success, it came with its challenges. Legal battles, mismanagement of funds, and risky business decisions started to pile up, putting a strain on both his personal and professional life. In his early years, Harry Gordon was a self-made man through and through. He didn't inherit wealth or have powerful connections to fall back on. Instead, he built his success from the ground up, starting in real estate, which became his first taste of prosperity. His knack for spotting profitable ventures, combined with his bold risk-taking, helped him turn modest deals into multi-million-dollar successes. Real estate was only the beginning. Gordon soon branched out into finance, eventually founding a group of companies that generated millions. Gordon's early business career was marked by relentless ambition. He wasn't content with just making it. He constantly sought new challenges, bigger deals, and higher stakes. His early ventures earned him the reputation of a savvy entrepreneur who could turn opportunity into a fortune almost effortlessly. Gordon faced trouble with asbestos mismanagement and workers' compensation claims, which were quickly eating away at his wealth. Worse, a get-rich-quick scheme involving Ukrainian gangsters spiraled out of control, adding to the financial chaos. On top of this, his marriage was falling apart, and he had an estranged relationship with a daughter he fathered as a teenager. The weight of these personal and financial issues pushed Gordon to an unthinkable decision: the plot to disappear. On June 5, 2000, Gordon put his plan into action. He rented a boat in Queensland, Australia, and set out to fake his own drowning. His wife and close family were supposed to mourn his death, while they quietly collected a life insurance payout of over $3.5 million. It was the perfect escape from his mounting troubles, or so he thought. By his 40s, Gordon was at the top of his game, involved in everything from property development to financial investments, boasting a fortune that most could only dream of. However, his ambition often led him to risky ventures. At one point, he found himself entangled in a scheme involving asbestos, which became the turning point in his career. This, coupled with a series of unwise business decisions and shady dealings, caused his once thriving empire to teeter on the edge of collapse. Gordon had positioned himself as a man capable of turning every opportunity into gold, but as pressure from lawsuits, failed investments, and personal failures mounted, he saw no way out. He needed a clean slate, and in his mind, faking his death was the only way to regain control. Gordon's plan had been meticulously crafted. He abandoned the boat, letting it drift out to sea with the expectation that authorities would find it and assume he had perished. Meanwhile, he had already assumed a new identity and fled the country, leaving behind not just his fortune but also the wreckage of his former life. The aftermath of faking death. For 5 years, Harry Gordon remained dead. His family grieved, friends mourned, and his wife struggled to move on with life, fully believing the story he had fabricated. During this period, Gordon traveled under a false identity and even got remarried, successfully pulling off one of the most elaborate death hoaxes in recent history. However, things started to unravel in 2005 when he had a chance encounter with his older brother, Michael, on a hiking trail in Mount Maunganui, New Zealand. It was an extraordinary stroke of bad luck for Harry. His brother, recognizing him, confronted him in shock. While Harry initially tried to brush off the meeting, he couldn't escape the consequences. This encounter marked the beginning of the end for Harry's deception. After their chance meeting, Michael wrestled with the discovery. His conscience weighed heavily on him, knowing that he had grieved for a brother who had staged the whole tragedy. He eventually confided in Gordon's first wife, who had been devastated by Harry's supposed death. Despite the years of grief she endured, she was convinced by Michael to inform the police of the truth. From that moment, Harry's carefully constructed life of lies began to collapse. What makes his story particularly fascinating is not just the audacity of faking his own death, but the psychological transformation he underwent. Initially, he was driven by ambition and the thrill of wealth. However, as the pressure mounted, his decision to escape through such extreme measures showcased a profound disconnect from reality. It raises questions about how individuals cope with failure and the lengths to which they will go to preserve their image. The legal fallout. In 2005, Gordon's luck ran out for good. Authorities caught up with him while he was returning from his honeymoon with his second wife, whom he had married under his new identity. Upon attempting to re-enter Auckland, New Zealand, Gordon was stopped and arrested for using a stolen passport. The fraudulent life he had built crumbled before him as he faced charges of passport fraud and insurance fraud. In court, the details of his deceit shocked the public, revealing not just his financial desperation but also the psychological toll it took on him and his family. His trial became a spectacle, drawing attention to the lengths people will go to preserve their wealth and status, even if it means abandoning everything they once held dear. Harry Gordon spent a year in prison for his crimes. His former wife, who had unwittingly supported his ruse, was also arrested and sentenced to 5 months of house arrest for her role in the deception. Despite the chaos, Gordon's second wife chose to remain by his side, standing with him through the scandal that had rocked their lives. Why did he do it? Gordon later admitted in interviews that money was his primary motivation. His financial downfall seemed inevitable, and faking his death seemed like the only way out of the impending doom. However, he also hinted that there were darker forces at play. His involvement in dangerous dealings with Ukrainian criminals put him under threat, making his need to disappear even more urgent. He later recounted his story in a book titled The Harry Gordon Story: How I Faked My Own Death, where he chronicled the motivations, planning, and ultimate failure of his scheme. Interestingly, Gordon doesn't shy away from admitting his mistakes. He believes that falling in love for the second time was one of the key reasons his plan unraveled, as the life he built after faking his death became harder to maintain. The aftermath: life after prison. Once out of prison, Gordon faced a public and personal reckoning. His story captured the public's imagination, becoming one of the most sensational tales of a businessman's dramatic fall from grace. But despite his failure and the legal consequences, Gordon's story remains a compelling example of how far some people will go to escape the pressures of wealth and responsibility. His case is often referenced when discussing fake deaths, particularly due to the elaborate planning and the sheer audacity of his actions. Faking one's death is not unheard of, but Harry Gordon's case stands out because of the bizarre set of circumstances that led to his downfall, chiefly bumping into his brother on a random hiking trail, which set the wheels of justice in motion. His life post-prison took on a different character, as Gordon became a cautionary figure in discussions about wealth and morality. This transformation from a man willing to deceive even his loved ones to a publicly scrutinized figure reflects the complexity of human behavior when faced with dire circumstances. He ultimately became a symbol of how the pursuit of wealth can lead to self-destructive choices, and his story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of integrity. Harry Gordon's story is a cautionary tale about the consequences of running away from one's problems. For a time, it may seem like escaping is the best option, but reality has a way of catching up. Gordon's life after faking his death was far from the paradise he envisioned. The deception, guilt, and eventual legal consequences outweighed any fleeting relief his plan provided. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing tales from the world of the rich and infamous. What are your thoughts on his choices? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.